Hey everyone, it's vmcampos, magic fan, comic book fan, snack fan, all the things that I do. So this is the 600 subscriber Q&A answer part of things. If you didn't ask the question before, you can follow the link up here. Where does it go? Up here, yeah, wherever it is up here. Follow that link so that you can ask a question, I guess, when I do my next one. But I've got some questions to answer. Thank you to all my subscribers. I'm over 650 now. Really cool. So let's take some time to answer some of these questions. Okay, first up, some of the ones that are not quite questions. You know, if I were going to give you a grade, you'd get a nice F because you didn't ask a question, but you'll get an A+ because of what you said. First of all, Fred Hall Direct Edition said, "Good job, homie." Thank you so much, Fred Hall. I also like your stuff. Your videos are really cool. Your comic book videos are very enjoyable. Your thumbnails are kind of clickbait, but I love them. Keep up the good work. Next up, Tou Moua. He says, "Congrats." Okay, short and simple, thank you. Thank you for checking out my videos on the reg. Thank you. And then one more. We've got Mark Anthony. "Shot, bro. 600 emojis. Keep up the good work." Okay, thanks for that, Mark. You've been a great fan. And back in the days of Google Plus, RIP, Google Plus, you've been a great fan. Thanks for joining the streams. And really cool to have you there, so thank you. Okay, next up, we've got a great question over here from Landen Carrol. Also, thank you for joining the streams on a regular basis. "Congratulations! What was your first Magic card?" Ooh, that one's really difficult to consider. I first played Magic over 20 years ago, sometime in 1995. You know, it's really hazy. I need to ask my other friend who was into it back in the day. He might have a better memory, but I just don't remember. But there's a lot of cards that really stand out in my memory. I'll flash some up right here. For example, Fissure. I love that card. I love the flavor text of it mostly. It really stands out to me. "Must not all things at the last be swallowed up in death." Okay, that's amazing. I don't play a lot of red land destruction, although I love land destruction, so that card stands out. Hymn to Torok is another card that stands out to me from my early days. I love that card. There were 4 versions of it, because from Fallen Empires back then they were doing a lot of different alternate art, and so the ones that I'm flashing up right here, I love them all. The Quentin Hoover art is my favorite one, although actually I never had that one back in the day. I actually cracked 4 of them when I got back into Magic, and I bought some Fallen Empires boosters off of eBay. But these other ones, this other art, I love those. And besides that, well, Black Lotus. I never had a Black Lotus. Moving on. Alright, your Boi Adansi won. Sorry that your Boi Adansi took your name and you've got to be number 1. Anyway, also really cool having you in the clubs. Hope you keep coming back, and I want to see more of those decks. Number 1. Has anyone at your workplace given you a hard time for liking Magic? Or has anyone given you heat for your YouTube channel? Well, the good thing is that I don't do anything controversial on my YouTube channel, I guess. You know, when I do my number 1 best comic series, okay, someone might complain, "That's not the number 1 best comic," okay, whatever. And when I do my Planeswalker upgrade videos, sometimes people say, "Well, what about if you do this card or that card?" Okay, well, people always have an opinion. However, in real life, no, I haven't had anyone that really complains about anything. I think they find it interesting when they find out I do this stuff, because, you know, I'm kind of a serious person in real life, unless you really know me or unless you follow me on YouTube. And then when they see my non-serious version of things, they're like, okay, kind of cool. So no, I haven't really gotten a hard time for my YouTube or liking Magic. And I bring up my hobbies, comic books, Magic, etc. in a lot of my classes and a lot of my job environment, and people are like cool about it, so no problem there yet. Number 2, are you going to expand to reviewing other things in games? Maybe, give me suggestions. I'm really into, okay, Magic and comic books, technology, snacks, so those are the things I'm doing right now. Comic-Con, those are the things I focus on. You know, I do what I know, so that's what I do. Reviewing other things, well, give me suggestions, and if there's a demand for it, I might do it, so comment on this video for more suggestions. And what laptop or PC do I use? I have an Asus I'll put the specifications on screen somewhere here. In Asus, Republic of Gamers, Strix model GL something. Basically an i7 7th generation, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050, 16 gigs of RAM, 128 SSD main hard drive, and 512 SSD backup hard drive. So it's a pretty cool computer, nice cool lighted keyboard and stuff, nice widescreen monitor, it's matte, and just cool style, cool design to it, and it works really well for streaming the games that I play on the regular basis, which is basically Magic Arena at the moment. Next up from Cresta Starr. Now, she's an amazing streamer as well. Go check out her stuff. Follow the link over here somewhere and check out her Twitch. She's a really cool streamer over in New York City. Her question, okay, if any one guild from Magic the Gathering could be real, which one would be the most beneficial to the world currently with the least amount of drawbacks according to the lore? That's an interesting question because all of the guilds have a pro and con, positive and negative. I think the negative guilds are Orzhov and Dimir. Those are the ones that are like, and then Gruul because they want to destroy society. So you can argue they're all good and bad and they all have something positive. But I think the best for society might be Azorius because of, law and order, although they have a lot of red tape. And then Boros because they're protectors, but, perhaps uber militaristic. So I would say Boros or Azorius. Now, Simic is kind of cool for their research, although they create a lot of weird things like Sharkdo crabs. And Selesnya is cool for saving the environment, protecting animals and such, but a rejection of technology. And Dimir, they're like spies and assassins. Okay, I don't know if you need too many of those. Gruul, anarchists. There's Orzhov. Okay, ghostly mob bosses. Like, we don't want that. And Rakdos, we don't want that either. They're like Cirque du Soleil clowns from hell, and they're all like into hedonism and all of that, and that's fun, but they're a little over the top. So, short answer, Azorius. Next up, James Coleman Moose. Number 1, if there's a Ravnica guild that you feel fits you best, which is it and why? Okay, the cool thing about the guilds is that you can really role play. You can really put yourself into something perhaps that you're not, or that you have an affinity for. I like to play Dimir and Orzhov, the two that I just mentioned that might not be the best for society, but I like those two. Do I identify with them? Am I like an underworld ghost racketeer? No. Am I like a tricky spy or assassin? Nope, but I like those two. So I kind of like those, and I identify also with Selesnya, like their hippie culture, back to nature sort of thing. I like that. So one to pick though, I'd probably go Dimir. I like playing that a lot, and maybe what I would join in real life, maybe Selesnya. Your thoughts on the massive theme of Planeswalkers coming to War of the Spark. Okay, so when this question was asked, that was still a hypothetical. Now that the question is being answered, it's a real thing. What is it? Okay, I played on the streamer event. Thank you, Wizards of the Coast, for sponsoring me to play War of the Spark earlier before everyone. It was amazing. I played with a lot of Planeswalkers. It was like blowing my mind because usually one Planeswalker comes out, it's a bomb, it changes the game. There were so many Planeswalkers that were sort of like little pieces of a larger puzzle, and they hung around for a little bit because they had their minus effects only, and they were like easy targets. And then now that I also went to the pre-release in real life, I played against people that their board states were just crazy that you had to keep track of things. My opponent had like a Davriel, and it was like just to keep track of. I'm constantly losing life because I have one card in hand, and cards got knocked out of my hands. I had an Ugin the Ineffable that was just effing great. So like, wow, these Planeswalkers are just so over the top. Removal is the most important thing in this new environment. You gotta load up on damage to to planeswalkers or planeswalker removal, because they're gonna run all over you if you're not ready for them. And then on the flip side, you've got to protect them yourself. I just played a game on stream the other day where someone used their Ashiok on me perfectly. They kept it alive for the whole 5 loyalty, and they milled, what is that, 4 times 5, 20 cards out of my library. I just couldn't handle it, and I was like 6 cards away from being milled. I managed to pull it together and defeated them. When I tried to use Ashiok, I did 1 mill and then they killed it. So not everyone can handle these planeswalkers or use them well. So just I think it's really cool, interesting for the game. I think it's really over the top, for good or for bad, kind of interesting. So thumbs up, half thumbs down for planeswalkers. They're cool. Who has to be your fave legendary card of all time? The one that's hardest to pronounce, Nebuchadnezzar. Check him out right here. This is a classic card printed way back in 1994 in the original Legends expansion. Really cool name, really cool art by Richard Kane Ferguson, perhaps my favorite artist of all time. I really like Kaja Foglio too, actually. Margaret Organ Keane is cool as well. Phil Foglio is cool. Quentin Hoover. Okay, anyway, I love a lot of the classic artists. But Nebuchadnezzar is a kind of a cool, fun card, not that powerful. 5 mana, and it can let you look at your opponent's hand when you put X mana, and lets you remove those cards from their hand. So it lets you peek into their hand, remove cards from their hand. I kind of love that archetype in Magic. Manipulation and milling. Well, not direct milling from the library too much, but more from the hand. I love that. And Nebuchadnezzar with this amazing art, I think is my favorite legendary card of all time. Next up from Cedric. Cedric. He's got an exclamation point after all. What is your favorite thing about Magic the Gathering? That's an impossible question to answer, and I answer it on a weekly schedule because on my Let's Enter the Arena podcast, if you're not listening to that, follow the link here to go to that. Every week I've got a podcast about Magic the Gathering focused on Arena. I ask my guest or guests, what's your favorite thing about Magic? So I answer that myself every time in the podcast. Slightly different every time, just to keep it interesting. But for this video, what am I going to say? I love the art. I love the story behind it. I like the strategy. I like the people. I like playing it online on Arena. I love everything about it. One thing to narrow it down, the challenge of it, of making decks, of putting together interesting combinations. I'm such a Tammy player. I love these huge plays. I love these huge creatures. Crawworm, Scaled Worm from back in the day, Ice Age. It was just a 7/6 creature, nothing special with a huge casting cost, but love the art. Love the big stompiness of it. So Hymn to Torok is a card I love from back in the day. So vicious. 2 black mana. Opponent discards 2 cards at random from their hand, including lands. Amazing. So I just love putting together things. And then in the recent sets, just putting together some really fun Dimir or Orzhov decks, or going out of my comfort zone and doing Planeswalker upgrade videos for colors that I'm not quite used to, like Azorius. My Domri upgrade video is getting pretty popular. Check out the link on that. So I just love the challenge of making decks. How did you get into Magic? It was in high school in the 90s, 1995, I think. I was in some class. I don't know. It was health class or something. So me and my friend Ricardo were in that class, and then this other student, I forget his name, I remember his face. He was in ROTC. He was kind of quiet and kind of interesting, and he somehow someday brought up Magic the Gathering. So then me and him and Ricardo played a little bit. He taught us. I started to get my own cards. I'd go to Toys R Us and buy cards there, and I just started playing and got hooked. So between about 1995 and 1999, that's when I played my first generation of Magic, and then I gave it up for a while, and I started again in 2017, right after Hour of Devastation, and now I'm totally hooked. So thank you to my friend back in high school that I don't remember his name. And I still have my yearbook right over here. Maybe I should look him up and then put him in the video right over here if I find him. If not, shout out to you wherever you are. And you're welcome, Cedric, for thanking me about making the video. Final question from reallyevilric, another refugee from the world of Google+. Do you own the coffee company Campos Coffee? No, I wish I did, because that's kind of cool. They have offices in the US and Australia. That's really cool. I don't own any sort of food-related business. I do own VMC Inc., however, a web design company. But no, I don't own that one. And there's like a mechanic, an auto shop near where I live that every time I drive by it, I laugh because it's Campos Mechanics. And no, I don't own that one either. So thanks for the question. Lastly, from Stevie Roder, another member of the game club that I'm a part of. Congrats on making 600! Great to see a channel grow as good as yours. Well, thank you so much. I want to keep growing, expanding, making more videos, creating cool content for everyone, and just having fun doing it. What keeps me doing it is there's always new Magic cards to look at, there's always new comic books to talk about, snacks to review, technology to talk about, and what also keeps me going is you, the subscribers. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you comment, and it's also appreciated if you're able to head on over to my Patreon, patreon.com, right over here. Where do I put it? Down here, patreon.com/vmcampos. For $1, you can show me that you really appreciate my videos, that I'm doing a good job. It keeps me going, it keeps me funded. You know, buying Magic cards, comic book, snacks doesn't pay for themselves, but with your help I can do it. And also, if you can't quite jump in on the Patreon, just follow. Go to Patreon and follow, because I consolidate everything that I do. I'm not just on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, Patreon, and everywhere. So just go to the Patreon, click follow there, and you'll be alerted to when I put new stuff on all of my endeavors. If you go up to the $2 range, I'll actually mail you some vintage Magic cards from back in the day, guaranteed to be 20 years old. No, not a Black Lotus. Or if you prefer comic books, for $2, I will mail you a comic book for my collection. If you go to the high roller range, $4, I'll send you Magic cards and comic books, all to thank you for being a patron. So that's it. That's my 600 subscriber Q&A. It was really cool looking at your questions and answering them. Maybe I'll do another one for the next one, 700 or 1000 or whatever. Ask questions. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much. This is VM Campos, and I'll see you online.